feel like we're about to fly off into space or something. The door's closed.
Yeah. No,
We're
when I
live?
walked in, I was like,
Does that mean that means we're live?
This is intense.
Okay, cool. I actually want to keep that in the video. In the video, like, okay, because this is the first one. I want to be like, I'm cool with being transparent about it.
Some action shots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, should we do like a hands in?
Should have got one of us moving chairs 5,000 times.
Right.
Yeah. No. So thank you guys for coming. Genuinely appreciative of you guys. So to the people that are listening, we'll get to the meat and potatoes of this in a second. But this is our inaugural video for Relo Reserve. And we're very excited. That's the light. So now I'm learning. So there's a light that goes on the camera that's actually on you. So we're doing a lot of learning today. And you're going to have to tolerate us as you watch. But this is the first, this is the inaugural marketing video for what we're currently coining the Relo Roundtable, which is the podcast for Relo Reserve. And really, as I see it, it's the first of its kind, not just marketing, but marketplace for moving companies. And eventually it'll expand from residential and business moving services to all logistic services. But, one step at a time. And you got to, prove out the model and get some revenue coming in before you start scaling horizontally or vertically into other, types of segments. But today, what's important is that I'm joined by two folks that have really become friends, Lindsay and CJ. And
Hi.
I don't want to, do the honors for both of them. I'd love for you to hear from them directly, who they are, what they do, and hopefully we're not, complete strangers, to you. And then I'll wrap it up with a little intro on myself. So who would like?
CJ.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm honored to be here, and thank you for, asking me to be on.
Of course.
It's I think it's an awesome opportunity. So my name's obviously CJ Lambiasi. I'm with CrossCountry Mortgage. I'm a loan officer. I am lucky enough to actually have two careers. So as you know, I'm also a firefighter, a fire lieutenant in the city of White Plains for 17 years now. So like I said, I'm blessed that I have two careers in which I can help people. It's been an awesome ride. And like I said, it's just two very different aspects of life that I'm helping people out. Sometimes in a stressful, situation of buying a home or going through a refinance, and in somebody's worst time, when in an emergency, I'm able to help people. But again, very happy to be here. Look forward to our conversation. And I think one of the coolest things is that how we all met, which I'm sure we're going to get into, as clients and now in friends and business partners. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks, CJ. I appreciate you being here as well. And on to Lindsay.
Okay, I'm honored to be here as well. From starting as someone helping you and finding a house to becoming friends. Eric and his wife and family were one of my favorite clients. Hope nobody hears this and is offended. I'm a professional. Oh my God. I'm a realtor. I have done this full time for about 8 years now. And prior to this, I transitioned from a career in television, working for a local NYC television station, doing marketing and production for their channel. So I've been able to kind of seamlessly put that towards my real estate career to help market listings and, working in that fast-paced environment, helping me to work on the negotiating side for clients. And I haven't looked back, and I've never thought real estate was something that I would be into, but I love it.
Yeah, and I could tell that you loved it, just the way that you handled everything, with us throughout
So
the
kind.
process. So, no, genuinely. And so, yeah, no, it's so, thank you for that, Lindsay. And for everybody else that doesn't know me yet, my name is Eric Gutierrez, and I am the founder and the CEO of a company called Relo Reserve, which to most people doesn't mean anything yet because it's still building brand equity. But to me, it means a lot because it's a company that I've given a lot of thought to about how do we add value to a range of stakeholders and to a process that has been done the same for a very long time, frankly? Moving relocations for either businesses or residencies, that process hasn't really changed much. Even as technology has evolved, as service delivery models have evolved, as the economics of different industries have evolved, this has actually remained the same for a very, very, very long time. And what we're doing is looking to what we've created actually is a marketplace for customers to be able to find, search, research, and solicit services from moving companies from a marketplace, very much like some of the brands that you're familiar with, whether it's Uber, Airbnb, whatever. Essentially, for a moving company, what we're doing is giving them another channel by which customers can find them and solicit their services. And really what it means is that a moving company can be more operationally minded. How can they improve the way that they run their operations, and how can we be more sales oriented for them? So they don't have to master two crafts, the craft of driving sales, which is one sort of talent that requires knowing how to manage ad campaigns, marketing, channel partnerships, all of those things, while also managing the efficiencies of their operations of actually conducting the move. So as I see it, we give a moving company an ability to just focus on one area of that equation, and we focus on one where we think we have and add differentiated value. And so anyway, that's a little bit of background on us. And then obviously for customers, we do a bunch of other things. But this is not a marketing about Relo, even though it is about Relo. But it's more than that. We really want to talk about the things that surround moves and relocation. And today we have two really rock star people, CJ and Lindsay. And, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. And I'm learning in the future, it'll get better. But, this is where we're at today. So one thing that I actually want to start off with was what is happening in real estate today? Are interest rates coming back down? Are they going to go up to 20%? Is AI going to eat everybody's lunch? How, where do we want to start?
All right. So with interest rates, historically, we are lower than I know. I talk to my parents and they talk about how when they first bought their house, the house I grew up in, the rates were like 13%. So, obviously we're not that bad. But on the bright side, we are kind of on the verge of coming down from where we are now. So, I'm not going to even throw numbers out there, but it's been in the news a lot that the Fed is actually going to be cutting rates in the next coming weeks. So, and it's going to be a course of, maybe the fourth quarter, the first quarter of next year, second quarter going forward. But I kind of tell the people that I'm working with, like, you can't really control the interest rates. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're ready to buy a house and it's your time, you buy your house, you find the house that you love. People are buying houses for a particular reason, whether it be, they're having a family and they need more space. So like, you can only control what you can control. So if you find a house that you love and you can afford the payment, when interest rates come down, we could always refinance. And
this sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. I was just gonna say, I know we had this conversation, and I have this conversation with a lot of people. Everybody's very nervous. And Lindsay can attest to that too. Everybody's kind of nervous, but you find the house that you love. You get into a payment that you can afford. That's not gonna make you poor, and there's brighter things in the future. The rates are gonna come down. We can refinance, and if you think about it too, like the time that you are living in that house, maybe making that a little bit of an uncomfortable payment, you're building equity, what I mean? And where the market is going to, especially around here, you're appreciating. So not only are you paying down the mortgage that you started, your house is gaining value. Yeah. And again, you always have the flexibility. I mean, hey, listen, if it doesn't work out, you could always sell. Yeah. So, but again, I tell people and I coach people, you're not stuck with that rate. Eventually things are going to come down and you're going to be able to refinance. So
yeah, I think the thing that's probably different now in 2024 and the recent years is probably with respect to interest rates that I don't recall when exactly it was that interest rates were 13%. I think like around the 70s or in early 80s, I think, yes, if memory serves me. I think inflation overall is just kind of inflation, and then the rate of compensation increase, like hourly compensation increase, hasn't quite caught up with inflation. And so if it was just housing that had a high interest rate, which results in a higher price, and not other car insurance, automobiles. I think automobiles actually came down a little bit more, and other consumer goods, college, especially with everybody fronting college payments now. I think people would probably be less apprehensive, but that's just my theory. If it was just housing, I think it'd be one thing, like just housing interest rates. But overall, it seems like things are generally far more expensive than they were just 10 years ago.
I agree. And again, that's what kind of comes back to the payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's all about the payment. That's what you have to make every month.
Yeah.
So like if at the end of the month and when you have to send that check in, you are still able to live and do the things that you want to do up to the lifestyle that you want. That is what is most important. And you never want to see anyone kind of get in over their head, so these are the conversations I have with people when I meet. So you have to educate and explain to them exactly what is going to be involved and what their options are going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I remember my thought process, so Lindsay can remember this. When we started, like, I now laugh at it looking back, but like the budget that I had set up for the initial houses was actually reasonable for the pre-COVID market. Mm-hmm. So it was consistent with what I would have been able to acquire pre-COVID.
Yes.
And so I came in with that budget in mind. And then throughout the process, the market just went nuts.
Yes.
Just totally vertical, just about. And at some point in the process, I was just like, all right, I'm not seeing the houses that I want to see. And I had a conversation with Angie, my wife. Well, you guys know, but they don't know. And I was like, babe, I think we're not being realistic about what our budget needs to be, given what we want to get and where we want to be. And so we had to make that adjustment. And I think a lot of people are probably going through that because it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Prices changed so fast, so rapidly. Right. Even like just messing around, I was on Redfin the other day looking at the estimate for my own house, just for shits and giggles, not because I have an intention of doing anything. And from what we bought it's gone up almost $300,000, which is now I don't know if Redfin estimates are legit or if it's just like, trying to butter me up, to get me to sell, which I'm not going to. But like whatever it is, like I assume it's directionally correct, and if it's anywhere near the ballpark of reality, it's a lot. And I'm sort of glad I got it when I got it, but the future, life can take. Economies can take different turns. Yeah. So hopefully it doesn't go anywhere crazy.
Right. Knowing your house, that house definitely has increased in value. The location, everything about it. So you guys have a good little gem on your hands.
Thanks. And I had a good agent. You know who she is?
Yeah, some crazy girl. But to speak on the, most people do come in with a budget and it's lower than what they eventually, purchase, even, with post-COVID, just in general, especially if it's a new person that I'm just getting to know, they're not really, they don't know me from a hole in the wall. So there are some realtors that just want to, get to the finish line and, get paid. So I can understand people coming in, a little bit scared to like say, hey, I'm willing to go up to this. And then usually, especially if it's like people that I am just meeting, they get comfortable with me, trust me. And then they're like, hey, you know what? We got to bite the bullet and we got to do X. And then usually they can find what they want. But I mean, and to their defense, I would do the same thing. Yeah. I don't know this person from a hole in the wall. I don't want to, show all my cards right now. I got to get to know them and trust them to then say, okay, I need to be more realistic here.
So a question on that, like you guys are both in like service industries that are well known, that have a process that is relatively well laid out in terms of how, sequentially this happens first, this happens second, this happens third. What are your approaches to get somebody to work with you as a client? Is it more passive? Is it more active? I mean, I think it all comes down to vibes, but like, how would you just characterize that?
I mean, I think for me, I'm lucky to get to a point where like people are, coming to me and asking for assistance. So somebody referred me, so they feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, hey, she's legit. So and so said, she, help them. In the beginning, yeah, it was hard. I think I worked for a company and I would get sent leads. and those people, you know, it took a longer time to kind of build the trust and go through the process with them. But in turn, it worked out well because those people ended up becoming friends. Like there was one woman, and I've helped her 3 times so far,
Wow.
you know, buy, purchase, whatever. So it took a little bit more work and explaining, but the end goal was always the same.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like you mentioned, like we are in sales, you know what I mean? And how do you differentiate? You have to maybe offer something a little better or show a little more attention than the next person would, you know? So like I know with mortgage rates, like there's many brokers and loan officers out there. Generally, we're all offering the same programs and we all see the same rates, you know, but how can I make myself better? I'm attentive. You know, I try to connect with people more than just a surface level. You know, I want to know about their family. I want to know what motivates them. Why are you buying? Because it'll help the process, you know, and always, you know, answering my phone and answering questions and not brushing people off. And I feel like that has definitely helped my career in the industry. Just, you know, like I look at my reviews and it seems like that's the common denominator. Like, oh, you know, CJ was always attentive and he answered all my questions. We were new. We didn't know a whole lot about the process. And, you know, I think that goes a long way with people, just kind of easing their mind and, you know, knowing that you're in their corner. You know, that's really the most important thing because we have a common goal. We're going to get there together. And to add to that too is just like we are here today, building a team, you know what I mean? Having a great realtor that I work with, and, you know, I'm sure she would say the same thing about me, having somebody that she could bounce ideas off of. Now potentially a move, if you're making a move in one of the cities that you guys are representing, it's awesome to come together and kind of have a package, you know what I mean, where we can do it like kind of start to finish and communicate. That's another big thing, you know, being able to communicate with people, not just some random person I've never spoke to before. And I need to call and be like, hey, you know, we got to schedule this appraisal. What's going on? You know, I know that we're going to connect and kind of have everything lined up, and she already knows what I'm thinking and vice versa. So it's pretty cool.
And I could attest to that too, because I remember when I remember one day in particular, I was driving all the way from deep in New Jersey, around the Basking Ridge area, Morristown, I think is how most people know the general area. And I think I called you 2 minutes after I left the office, and the drive was about an hour and change to where I was going in Queens, New York. CJ accompanied me on the phone the entire ride, literally until I parked the car. I was actually going to go to a cigar lounge. Everybody, like my vice is cigars. Everybody has theirs. Mine is I like to smoke cigars. And so literally I got in the car, called CJ, and we were talking the whole way right up until I literally bought the ticket to put in my car to park in Queens. And it was, to me, I was like, okay, this is legit, because before speaking to CJ, and you'd recommended CJ, before speaking to CJ, I was in conversation with somebody else based out of Florida. And best way I can describe it is that it didn't inspire a lot of confidence, because I'm inquisitive and I ask questions, and I don't like to come into a conversation feeling like I've done more homework than a specialist.
And you don't want to be BS'd.
Exactly. And you know, growing up in New York, I've developed a pretty good BS, you know, detector. Meter. And immediately I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. And then you recommended, you know, CJ, because I think you sensed that I was having a little bit of frustration with that other individual. So all right, so going back to the adding value. So you build trust, you're available to your clients, you know, you're doing all those things, and that seems to be enough of a differentiator to build a career. But in terms of the industry, how is the industry training and preparing its people, its professionals, either on the lender side or on the realtor side, to succeed? Because it seems exceptionally entrepreneurial. And it almost seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm speaking as a novice here, but looking at it from the outside, it seems to me like almost anybody can go get the certification or the license. And then they can claim to be associated with whatever firm. And then they get a listing and they present to you a home. Okay, like, that to me, the barrier to entry is so low
Yeah.
that I think a lot of people sometimes question, is the person that I'm working with the right person? Or did they just kind of decide to do this for shits and giggles?
Yeah. I mean, for real estate, there is real, I mean, you align with a brokerage, but when I started, I chose a brokerage and they did have a training system, but in reality, you're learning as you go, and if you're not smart enough or, ambitious enough to align yourself with somebody who knows more than you, then you're not going to learn. I mean, I always say you want to be the dumbest person in the room because I'm not going to get any better just thinking that I'm amazing. So, I think in real estate, there are a lot of people that join because they think either it's easy or they watch these shows and I can make a huge commission and I do nothing, which is not true, I swear. And they get into the business, but there's a very high failure rate and they usually don't last more than a year or two. So I think, to answer your question, there really is nothing, I think, internally in the business that prepares people. You need to want to do better or you need to want to learn and you need to navigate accordingly. Of course, there's some brokerages that their whole format is their teams. So you join and now you're working with a top agent, which is smart. If you don't know what you're doing, you want to follow, somebody who has a lot under their belt. But the other brokerages where you join and you're just by yourself, you have to want to do better and you have to want to navigate. I mean, you have a manager, but to what extent they're going to help you, I don't know,
So on that topic, I actually want some advice now. And I'm sort of opening up the kitchen so people can actually see kind of what we're thinking about as Relo. But I actually do want some advice, to the extent that you can share your perspective. So there's this company, we were talking about it just prior to recording, called Slack. And their strategy they're think of them as a very fancy WhatsApp, but for businesses. You can open up different channels for different topics, open up project teams, all that. And it's really just messaging, collaboration. I'm sure they do more, but that's the simplified version. And they made it free to any business, any enterprise. You could open up with your business account and start joining. And engineers started at big companies, large ones, large cap companies, started utilizing Slack. And it became so prominent that then Slack said, contacted these companies and said, hey, we have 100 people in your company that are already using our product. We should just set up a 5-year contract with you and make it available to, give you guys 1,000 seats or whatever, 1,000 slots for your employees. And that's how they did it. So they monetized it in that way. Smart. And then there's other companies that, and some of the names escape me right now, but that came with a different approach. They started working at the top with the companies themselves, with the large enterprises, marketed it to the, vendor management team, the supply, chain management team, and then, sold it to the corporate team and made it available to, the employees. I would say Microsoft probably follows that approach. We're doing something, and this is where your advice, both of your advice comes in. So I'm looking to do both, and I'd like for you to assess which one you think would be best. On the one hand, we're going to work with real estate agents, brokers, and lenders to build a network of the top agents within a given city, and only but so many, maybe 10, 15 or so, to make the Relo services available as a partnership to them, meaning that they can say to their customers, work with me, here are the array of things that you get from us, availability, trust, yada, yada, experience. On top of that, we have this cool partnership that when you're ready to move, you're going to get top shelf movers at a discounted rate and, concierge services associated with that. Cool. So we'll make that exclusive to only but so many real estate agents and lenders in any market in which we operate. That's the left hand of the strategy. The right hand of the strategy is what I expect will be a little more difficult just because we're a new brand, but I would like your feedback, would be to contact and work with the executive management teams of the likes of a Remax, of a Compass, of the various companies that you guys represent, and structure a partnership with them to make the services available to all of their agents within a city, but not to their competitors. That's the second, lane of the strategy. Would love to get your feedback on what you believe would be the viability of that approach. And it could be honest. If you think it's a bad idea, I would love to debate if it's a bad idea. But what do you guys think as you hear that? Gut feelings?
I mean, my gut feeling would be at the very beginning stage, being that no one really knows what you do and there's no brand, name recognition or anything like that. I think, basically the first part that you explained, starting from the bottom up, because you're going to have people that can sell you. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to say, like, hey, I know this company. This is what they do. We're going to be able to explain it to them. And, through, like I said, how we work, word of mouth, recommendations, I think us vouching for you and having experience with you is going to probably gain you some kind of notoriety. Then when you get to that level, I would think that's when you can sell it from the top down. That's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah. I think the key thing with what you're doing, which is amazing, is like that it's like selective, it's rare, it's, exclusive. And then once you get to that level, then you could like market it. But to touch on like, competitors, in reality, all brokerages are competitors. So maybe you choose like one in a certain region. You're like, hey, I want to work with all agents under this, brokerage. And you do research and you see, which one like you'd like to, associate with. But I think definitely like the word of mouth, the, starting from the bottom up is always a good idea, because like I said, people want to go where they know, somebody has used this person, somebody knows this person. And in reality, I mean, it goes a long way. I mean, I've seen the benefits of it. I know you have. Yeah. It just has a real authentic feel to it, because it is. It's no, you're not being sold, really.
Right. Yeah. You have to. There's a level of trust in any form of business, especially this type of business where, it could be anybody behind the curtain, right, taking your information, and you have no idea what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You want somebody who's had the experience, and had a good experience, right? And again, we can together as a team, like building that team, we can sell that,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, initially it'll be focused on what it's focused on, because, I'm a very strong believer in, you have to have focus. You can't be doing 50 things and be good at all 50. You're probably going to fail at 49 of them. Right. So, our focus right now is ensuring that, we deliver an exceptional moving experience to the customers. And that means that if they have an exceptional experience, then that positively reflects on our partners, whether it's the moving company or whether it's folks like yourselves, that have, that made these referrals. And then when it gets really cool is when we start expanding into business, working with, likes of New York Mets or New York Yankees, something like that. I might be leading to something, but I will refrain from going further than that. But
that's a smart way to go, though.
Yeah. And so, but this is, once we, really settle into the market and our brand is recognized and we've built that trust and that equity with the general market, I think it'll benefit everybody, because, we're going to look to prominently market all of our partners. You guys have already been featured on our Instagram. We'll continue to be featured. We actually funded both of the different, we did an Instagram ad campaign with both of your, posts, and we're kind of testing it, and we're looking to optimize what generates the best amount of traffic. But we saw good feedback. I think for CJ, it was 1,500 views within the first 24 hours. Yours is still ongoing, so I'll have the insights after it's done, because I posted it last night. I posted it. I think she's going to win, though, to be honest with you. And by the way, you had a bunch of people, I don't know why, Texas.
Oh, really?
You had a bunch of, and unsurprisingly, predominantly women, predominantly men, predominantly New York, predominantly Texas.
Okay.
So, maybe that's a new market for you.
Yeah. Get my license down there.
A cowboy hat on, too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, we're going to look to prominently promote the agents with which we work, and hopefully that would also add fuel to the fire of referrals and new prospective clients. Right. So you guys know me, I generally try to do right by people, and hopefully that produces great business results for you guys as well and your clients. Right. So switching gears real quick, is AI doing anything to your industry right now? Because I have to imagine there's got to be some guy in a garage working on some solution for real estate with AI, like analyzing bank statements and, qualifications, or, putting together a bespoke list based on,
Yeah.
a factor of, features that somebody would want.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there definitely is. So on my end, I've already actually had the experience with using it. So there are platforms in which, everything we need to do is obviously with haste, with speed.
Yeah.
People need pre-approvals and stuff like that. So rather than having to collect documents from you and then, put them into our system and then having an underwriter having to look at them and such, there is software out there that will actually, you do the uploading or I do the uploading of bank statements, pay stubs, and W-2s. AI will screen everything and give you a preliminary approval based on what they see, which is better than, just like the kind of surface approval that you might get initially. It's a little step further.
Okay.
And then really all that happens after is the verification of all those things. So I've seen it, and then just from, things like drip campaigns and emails and stuff, AI has been a game changer because, there's things I want to say. Maybe I don't know how to say it the best way. I could use AI to kind of clean it up and send a nice email out there.
Genius.
That is right. It makes you sound so much better.
So sophisticated.
Way,
goodness.
right.
You should
Way
be an
more
author.
professional.
Yeah.
Right.
He should write a
But,
book. He should write a book.
And in Instagram posts, emails that I send out, just all the correspondence, like responding to, reviews and things like that. It's all built in. It's becoming a big thing. And I think that's good. But I also think if it goes too far, you kind of lose that personal touch too, because
sure.
it becomes a crutch.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be
And
a
people can
very
tell.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's going to be a balance where like you're going to use it to save time so that you can maybe be there for your clients a little more.
Yeah.
To do all those back end things that maybe they eat up a lot of your time to put stuff out there. But that balance is going to be, I think, the true kind of deciding factor of like how far it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point, sometimes technology fails.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when it does,
Right.
you
Has
gotta-
it affected you guys as agents or not?
I mean, in the
not
kind of same aspect of like what CJ was saying, and to touch on like, the auto emails, I know it's ingrained that they're good, but for me, I would see a lot of times like something would have closed and now these people are getting sent another email from me and I'm like, stop, where, and it sometimes it gets annoying because it's like, I didn't really authorize to say this. Now I'm looking like an idiot, but it's not.
Right.
It's the system. And, now you got to go through the proper channels to get it out of there. So I think there's a fine line. It's good when it's good, especially from like organization purposes and, having everything organized. But, once it starts to malfunction on like the personal level where like it's supposed to be you, saying something, I think then it gets kind of iffy.
fair.
Yeah.
I know that there's certain restrictions around how much anybody can say about like a area, like a local area, but to the degree that we can discuss, the area in which we all work, or live. What's happening in Westchester broadly? Like, are there still an influx of people coming in, and are they all coming from the city, or are they all coming from different areas? Like, what are you seeing?
I think people are still coming. I mean, you got to think, especially during COVID, only so many people were able to get the houses because it was just like mayhem. So, you're still having a good influx of people from outside areas coming here, plus all the people that are still here that are trying to, navigate moving, whether it's within the city they're already in or to another location. It's a very attractive market for a lot of people, not just in this area, from across the country with the proximity to New York City, and everything else that it has to offer. So I think it's still on the up, and I don't see it stopping.
There's a lot of new development in downtown White Plains. Like every day that I go up there, it's like, and I turn a new corner, there's a new, what appears to be luxury development, going up, high rise, all that. Do you think it's being overdone, or do you think it's, do you think there's demand?
I think there's definitely the demand. If you probably talk to some residents there, they'll say it's overdone. At some point, I think people don't like to see it so much, but there's definitely the demand, especially for a place like White Plains, because it has everything that, if you're coming from the city that, you want. You have the city atmosphere, everything at your fingertips, but then you also have the suburban feel. So I mean, I can't imagine they're going to keep putting the money into these developments and not see the return. I think once they see no return, then they'll stop.
Yeah.
Right.
They're supposed to, the mall, I don't remember the
R.I.P.
The Galleria.
gallery.
R.I.P. Galleria.
Yeah, they're supposed to be supposedly knocking that down and replacing
Yeah,
that
I think
with
it's supposed to be like
residential mixed use.
residential and then commercial.
Right.
I know
Up
that
to-
made a lot of people mad, especially from White Plains, because that Galleria, and I could speak to it, held a very special place in a lot of people's memories.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I never got a chance to go in because it was closed before I moved up here.
Yeah. From a firefighter perspective, because I am, like I said, I'm a fire lieutenant in White Plains. That is a hot topic for us too. So you have all this, a lot of building in White Plains, which brings people. So it's things that we need to pay attention to as firefighters. But that particular complex is going to be about 3,500 units. So that in one shot, that's going to bring a ton of people here.
Yeah.
And to Lindsay's point too, like I feel like there's so much money that goes into it, and these developers and builders, like the analytics alone must tell them and support the amount of money and effort that goes into building these things, that people will come.
Yeah.
Otherwise you will see it die down.
You build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the perennial problem in the U.S., at least in the major markets, has been that there's been an insufficient supply for the demand, at least in recent years. I don't know how true that is in all markets. I think that might be different. Like, for example, in certain places in Florida, I think there may be oversupply, at least insofar as what I saw recently. Like in New York City, for example, where I came from, there's a lot of conversion discussion. I don't know how real it is happening about converting office or commercial property into real estate. I don't know if that's BS or if that's genuine. It might be genuine around the margins.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I think it's genuine, like around the margins, but I think it's probably overrepresented because it's so complicated, right? Like offices are not constructed to have bathrooms. You need to fix the piping, the lining for all the water. You need some of them won't have windows. Like it's more complicated than what I think seem initially, because the conversion is not simple. But if they feel like there's money to be made, I'm sure that that's sufficient motivation.
Yeah, you think about like White Plains, they tore whole buildings down and started from scratch.
Yeah.
McKinley, you live, well, sorry.
I live there.
I don't want to, he doesn't live there anymore.
I used to live there. That was actually the first piece of property I ever bought was a converted school.
Oh.
So it was the old Battle Hill School, and they converted it into condos.
Wait, you bought that?
No. I bought a condo.
Oh, I was about to say, like,
building.
Dude, we never talked about that.
Secretly, CJ is rich.
No,
I'm
yeah,
not telling you.
Like, are you like a prince of a country or something?
No.
Prince CJ.
That was my very first real estate purchase in that building, and it was very cool. It was like it was a converted school, but it still had that feel to it. Very high ceilings, like the stairwells. It felt like
the field still.
Yeah, right. There's a big ball field in the back, and they will build if they think people are going to come, and everything is driven on supply and demand, which this whole market, this is why the prices are going up and kind of have stayed up. And I honestly think they're even going to go higher once the rates start coming down, because you're going to get that influx of people. You have your casual people that are waiting for those rates to drop, and then they're going to pounce. Yeah. But I don't think the rates are going to drop to a level that will get people that's like the people that have 2.5% on their house, right?
They're not moving.
Are they going to move if they're going to be paying 5.5%? Like, it's better than where we are now, but will it get you out of your house? Right. Yeah. So I do think the demand is still going to be great. Yeah. And I think the supply is going to be better, but not to a level to support the demand.
And you got to think, this is a time when like the boomers are either gonna downsize, move out of state. So, and in the coming years, we're gonna see that change, and a lot of property probably come up that hasn't been for sale in decades.
Yeah.
There's this comedian not associated at all with Relo in any respect. I just think he's hilarious. His name is Tim Dillon. I don't know him. I've never met him. I just watch his show because I think it's hilarious. And, you guys should check it out.
Tim Dillon, sponsor Relo Reserve.
Yeah, right. He's in your DMs.
Yeah. He's hilarious. He actually has some hilarious bits about real estate.
Yeah.
You check it out. You're either going to be insulted by it or find it hilarious.
Can't be anyone.
Yeah. You've heard it all.
Like it's not like bad what he's saying. It's just like the way he's just a comedian. So he's supposed to be intentionally provocative. Where was I going with this?
Boomers?
Boomers. Because every time I think of boomers, I think of Tim Dillon, and you'll see why when you watch his videos. He's like, no, boomers are never moving out. Like, they're just in their McMansions forever. Like, they just want to show their kids, like, my mansion is so much better than yours. Like, look at how much better I've done in my life. Right. I don't think that's true for my boomers watching.
Right.
He's a comedian.
Loves the boomers.
Yeah, yes. I love boomers. I love everybody, genuinely. But yeah, he's of the belief, at least his character bit is of the belief that they're not moving out. Yeah. That they like their McMansions and that they're going to stay in there forever. I mean,
what's not to like about a McMansion?
I mean, you got nice in-ground pool,
right?
Yeah. Angie just got an above-ground pool, which is fine. But I'm like, I really want an in-ground pool. So I got
Have you seen the ones where you could build around it and it looks in-ground, but it's...
I have, and they look nice. I think... somebody I know has one of those, and it looks really nice. Yeah. I've just romanticized in-ground pools for so long as a city kid. I'm like, I really want an in-ground pool. So I just need to get there at some point.
I think they're a lot of work, though. A lot goes into it.
They are, and I don't know if the water table for my lot supports an in-ground pool. So,
yeah. I tell you can make it a really nice above in-ground, and nobody has to know.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. So I know we're close to wrapping up, but is there anything, that you guys are working on right now? I know you guys recently both changed organizations. Maybe, what was the rationale behind that? Or, any other theme that you think is important to leave, our listeners with?
No, just, I think, any decision I make is going to be to kind of better the total start to finish experience for my clients. And I feel like where I am now is exactly that. We have a lot of support. My team is awesome, from, like I said, from the intake to the closing table. We have a ton of support, very knowledgeable people, a lot of programs, great rates, and of course you always get me. So.
Yeah. And I could vouch for you. Right. Great experience for both of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it just ready to take my career to the next level, and I felt the move was necessary, and just onwards and upward. Yeah. So, and just don't put any of this in
it. We're going to make the title of the show Prince CJ, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this is the first show, and, the audience, you'll have to, you're obligated to forgive us for any mistakes. We're automatically pardoned. Anything that I could have done better, and this will be included in the show, by the way, because I like this sort of discussion when I'm listening to podcasts. So
next time you're going to have your drink of choice.
Yeah, right. I think we need drinks and the AC kicked up because this is way better than when we first walked in.
Yeah.
But no, this was really cool. I think I think it's best to not script anything, and just talk. Have a conversation, like we always have. So we have awesome experience to kind of build on.
Yeah.
And every time, if we meet in the future, we're just gonna have even more stuff to talk about, which is pretty cool. So
either Eric's gonna invite us back all the time, or he's gonna be like, never
again. No, absolutely.
It depends on how the next people do.
Yeah,
I might have to come here and turn the AC off.
That one girl with the microphone, she kept moving it.
No, I think this was great. I think we talked about things that I think a lot of folks are interested in, and thank you guys so much, genuinely, for joining me here. I know it's always tough, being the lead off hitter sometimes, and that's what you guys are here. But I think this was good, and thank you to the folks at LMC for, setting things up so well. I think this is a phenomenal space, and
very cool.
Hopefully folks enjoyed it and all of that. So anyway, we're off. We've got kids to pick up from school, and if you guys have any questions, Lindsay, how can they reach you?
My cell, 914-282-2315.
So that's Lindsay if you're interested in buying or selling a home or anything.
You're just telling me how stupid I looked on camera.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Do you have an email address in case you don't want to get your...
Or you could look me up on Instagram. It's probably easier. At Lindsay _Coldwell Banker.
Yeah, and if I've done this right, you'll see it somewhere either in the post or on the screen.
I would give I can give my email, but it's like a lot of letters.
All good. So I'll post it. It should be in the show notes, I think is what all the podcasters call it. CJ?
Yeah, my Instagram, CJ Lambiasi Mortgages. Best way to reach me. My information's on there. You could even apply right through the link. So definitely hit me up on there and we can talk.
Yeah, and he's trustworthy with all the paperwork. I had sent CJ literally secure email transfer links every time I sent him documents because as if though the NSA doesn't already know all of my information.
Right.
You can never be too careful.
You really can't. Ever since that all those files were hacked from and posted on the dark web, you actually could never be too careful. But no, very trustworthy folks. And again, thank you guys so much. Any questions about Relo? If you're watching us, you kind of know how to reach out Relo. You know, our contact info is posted all over our profile. Otherwise, you can go to reloreserve.com for more information. And if you have an email inquiry, you can reach out to my team at hello, HELLO, at reloreserve.com. That's it for today. We're going to go enjoy a cigar. At least I am, and maybe a couple bourbons.
I just have to say, I think you might have missed your calling. You could be like a talk show host or maybe
really?
like an anchor. Very good.
Really?
I mean, still Relo Reserve is going to be amazing, but this,
it came off very natural.
Really?
CJ, you did too. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm usually not like the cameras are off already, I think. So, but no, I've never done this before. So I'm just trying my best.
You're
to
like
be,
my brother when the camera comes on. Who is this person?
Your brother is a celebrity. He missed his calling. He needed to be in Hollywood.